For all the laid-back vibes on the Joe Rogan Experience, not every episode goes down smooth. Sometimes, things get real awkward. Like that time Joe clashed with political commentator Candace Owens.
I don't think we have to care about the environment. Like, what do you...
No, not even a little bit. Like,
not even a little bit?
No. Okay, let me clarify this. I don't throw trash on the ground. Like, I'm not saying like we need to like, trash the environment. Like, but do I believe in climate change? No.
But Joe wasn't buying it. Jamie, the producer, jumped in with stats. 87% of scientists say human activity causes global warming, but Candace wasn't moved. She stood her ground.
In 2014, the vast majority, 87% of scientists, said that human activity is driving global warming, yet only half the American public ascribe to that view. So
yeah, I don't believe this like at all, just so you know. You can pull that up too. Like scientists who look up the opposite. Right? Instead of looking for what you're searching for, looking for what you're not looking for.
Joe then went on to emphasize the severity of the climate crisis, painting a vivid picture of its potential impact.
This could negatively impact all sorts of coastal cities. This could be a gigantic problem. This is not like propaganda that's drummed up by some sort of big business that seeks to make money off of this.
Nevertheless, Candace remained unfazed and stood firm in her beliefs, fueling the conflicts, escalation.
I don't believe it's real, okay? So I can't sit here.
But here's the question. But why have a belief?
What do you mean?
Why have a belief as to whether or not global warming is real or not real?
It's not a belief in it. I don't believe in it.
However, Joe kept pressing until, finally, she admitted she wasn't fully informed. That was the first crack.
How about not have a belief until you really have looked at the data?
So you would prefer if my language, as opposed to admitting that I do not know this, I wouldn't die on this hill, I've never made a video, I've never made a public statement, you would have preferred if I had just started by saying, I have no opinion.
No, I don't know.
Okay.
Now, let's talk fireworks. Joe's interview with Barstool founder Dave Portnoy, that one exploded. It started with Portnoy dismissing boxer Tommy Fury.
I saw Tommy Fury box. He is not a boxer.
Well, he's definitely a boxer.
Well, he puts on gloves.
He's definitely a boxer, but is he a boxer like his brother? No.
Well,
as the younger brother of former world heavyweight champion Tyson Fury, Tommy is often overshadowed by constant comparisons, a sentiment that Portnoy seemed to reflect as well.
We would not know who Tommy Fury was if his last name wasn't Fury.
Probably we wouldn't know as much about him.
I don't.
But he's still a good-looking guy. He's built great. He looks looks the part.
Looks the part.
The conversation quickly took a turn for the worse when Joe introduced a video showcasing Tommy Fury's boxing skills, igniting growing tensions.
Shut the f up. Watch this.
Find the Tommy Fury. Find the Tommy Fury fight on the
shut
Jake card.
Shut the f
this
up.
This guy cannot.
Please shut the f up and watch this. Watch what he's doing. This motherfucker is 100% a boxer.
Can you find me the record of Bokianski?
This. Stop. Watch this. Watch this. Look at this. You're out of your mind if you don't. Look at this.
What
look at that right hand.
That was in slow motion.
No, it's not in slow motion.
I think you slowed that down.
No. If you don't think so, you're just being a hater.
But if you thought that was intense, wait for Joe versus Steven Crowder. The topic: weed legalization and car accidents. Crowder claimed marijuana-related traffic deaths skyrocketed.
Traffic fatalities regarding marijuana have skyrocketed.
Google that, because that's nonsense.
No, we wrote about it.
Drunk driving arrests have dropped. What do you mean you've... First of all...
Yeah, we wrote about what the sources are, the original studies.
Just because someone gets in an accident and they're high... hold on, stop.
No, hold on a second.
You interrupt way too much. You need to stop.
The scene unfolded as Joe openly criticized Steven's demeanor, setting the tone for a clash of viewpoints and personalities.
Marijuana is one of the things that are good. And don't shore, man. Just like you don't shore turmeric, you don't shore ginger, you don't shore a reduced sugar diet. All those things that reduce inflammation are good for you.
I don't buy that smoking marijuana would be as beneficial as a reduced sugar diet. And my point is that people get so offended by me saying that and saying, but if you want to smoke, go ahead.
You might be correct.
Shouldn't be offensive.
But it doesn't matter because it's not a contest to see what's the most beneficial.
Things escalated further when Joe's introduction of a study sparked a heated exchange of personal insults, derailing any chance of constructive discussion.
Since marijuana legalization, highway fatalities in Colorado are at near historic lows.
You have him bringing up the source that you want to find.
Washington
Post!
Bring
up the study right there. Yeah, Washington Post. Bring up the study that we wrote. We wrote about it on our website.
Look, I don't care about your website, you Since marijuana legalization, highway fatalities in Colorado
Since you called me
Not every
Rogan
awkward
didn't
moment
shy
is about
away
science
from
or
mocking
politics.
Crowder's website.
Sometimes it's
he
just
also
weird.
showcased
Like when Joe
his
challenged
own
a guest to rock,
unapologetic
paper, scissors, bubble
self-importance
stakes.
during a...
How are you so good at rock, paper, scissors?
It's just, skill, muscle, intuition.
Intuition. Can we play right now?
You want to play?
Yes.
Oh, but I only play for stakes.
Okay. What do you want to play for?
How about if I win, I do the programming on your show for a week?
No. That's worth a lot of money. You can.
What kind of money? What do you think? I'm not saying like the ads or whatever. I'm saying
like programming, like who's going to be on?
Yeah, who's going to be on?
That's not possible. We're booked up months and months in advance.
You were so confident until just now. No. Pick a month, few months off.
That's ridiculous to flip a coin on that. There's no chance.
Well, do you think that there's something of equivalent value?
No.
There's nothing. Nothing that I could do.
There's nothing that you could give me that would be worth a week of programming on the show. What are you going to give me? You'd have to, a day of programming? You'd have to give me a spectacular amount of money.
I sent you a...
All right. Sounds like someone's scared to lose at rock, paper, scissors.
It sounds like someone else is scared to lose at
No, you're asking me for something that's ridiculous. You don't have anything. You don't have anything that's worth a week of programming on the show. You don't have it.
That's rough.
It doesn't exist.
That's rough.
No, it doesn't. It literally doesn't exist. Like there's there's nothing that you can have that you could offer me that I couldn't buy myself.
I'll make I think will be interesting. No. Enjoy talking with them.
You can't. No.
All right, fine. Okay.
But that doesn't do anything for me.
However, this wasn't the only painfully awkward moment Rogan has faced on his show. In episode 607, a cringe-inducing exchange unfolded when Rogan unintentionally brushed aside kickboxer Joe Schilling's heartfelt sharing of his life's traumas.
It was a really tough fight for me too. You know, it was a really bad camp. It was probably the worst camp of my career. My dad had passed away like 3 weeks before the fight, and like 2 or 3 days after that.
Why does that look so shitty, Jamie?
My cousin passed away. So it was...
Boom!
Comedian Shane Gillis was also about to experience firsthand just how awkward interviews on the Joe Rogan Experience could get.
If I get fired here, whatever, I'll just go do Joe Rogan next week and I'll be fine. Anyway, I thought that was funny. No?
What?
I was like, I literally...
Is that what you thought?
I literally thought that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I thought it would be funny.
Well, it could have been funny.
Yeah.
I was booked up, though.
No, it was fine. It was just funny to truly... That was a conversation I actually had.
However, few moments are more uncomfortable to watch than Joe clashing with his own friend Eddie Bravo, who passionately clings to the belief that the Earth is flat.
Show me a real picture. Show me a real picture.
Listen, NASA does not have one of those satellites.
Fake.
Why do you think that's fake?
That's fake as fuck.
Why does it look fake
as fuck? It looks like something you would see in a movie.
That's because when they do it in a movie, they try to make it look like this, which is what looks real.
If that's real to you, man.
You think it's real?
They faked 6 moon landings.
Stop saying that because it's irrelevant. Why would it be fake?
It's propaganda, man.
Eddie ignited the fiery debate with the bold claim that all photos of a round Earth are fake. Undeterred, Joe challenged him by demanding proof of an authentic flat Earth image, setting off a heated quest for truth amidst their clashing beliefs.
Is there a photo of this flat Earth?
No, I don't. Like I just said again.
That's what I asked.
There's no photo of the flat Earth from space. There's no photo of the round Earth from space.
That's not true. That's not true.
It's all fake.
No, why do you say they're fake, though?
They look fake. They look CGI.
But you're not an expert in imagery.
Cornered and under pressure, Eddie fired back with a bold assertion, claiming that Joe's sources were allegedly paid to perpetuate the conspiracy.
Hey, where did you get this information?
Jamie.
Where'd you get it?
Where'd I get what?
This information. What is this coming from?
This is coming off the internet.
Exactly. So you're reading some information. I'm reading some information off the internet. You didn't go to the library.
Slow down.
It's on Wikipedia.
Just slow down.
Eddie, stop doing that.
There's sources here. There's a book called the American Journal of Science. I'm sure that a lot of people respect
which is bought and paid for.
Well, maybe.
It is. It's bought and paid for. It's part of that.
Here's the thing, Eddie.
It's like the Washington Post.
Eddie, why would anybody be paying money for people to lie about the world spinning?
Eddie would proceed to vehemently deny that the Earth was spinning, dismissing the existence of concrete evidence to support such a phenomenon.
Eddie, people have known it's spinning forever. That's how the seasons work.
Baby.
That's how you see the sun. We spin around. That's why it makes
explain
eclipses.
This to me.
That's why we
That's why you
age,
can track time zones. That's why you can put a piece of stick in the ground.
You're saying all the correct.
It acts as a sundial.
After a lengthy exchange lasting over 40 minutes, tensions between the two escalated until Joe finally reached his breaking point.
I used to say the same
Eddie,
stuff.
you're talking about the Earth being flat. Thousands of scientists have looked into it. You think they're all wrong? That's so insane.
You haven't looked into it.
I have.
No, you have.
Oh, my God. How could I not have? You don't think I have? I'm watching you go down the rabbit hole. You don't think I've tried to pay attention to what these people are talking about? It doesn't work.
I don't think so.
Eddie, there's websites dedicated to debunking it. There's so many people working on these things, Eddie. The idea that they're all in on some sort of a giant global lie is insane.
However, few topics breed as much discomfort as politics, as demonstrated in episode 1882 of the Joe Rogan Experience, where a casual comment about a political candidate quickly spiraled into a heated and disagreeable exchange.
We look for someone who makes us feel good. Like, I'll feel good voting for him. I don't like her. She's a... And they just decide this is how I'm voting. You know, like that's... I mean, that was a lot of people's perspectives on Hillary Clinton. I talked to a lot of people that hated...
I'm pretty sure everyone loved her. I'm pretty sure she
the
won.
most loved.
I liked Elizabeth Warren. She's
Why?
Cool. I just like I liked her. I like her tenacity. Artist. Yeah, but okay, who isn't?
Yeah, Bernie Sanders.
Okay, but did you vote for Bernie?
He wasn't available to vote for.
Did you vote in the?
I didn't vote for in the primary.
In the primaries, right?
Yeah.
I did.
But I had him on my podcast. And he was very sincere.
Okay, cool. I've had my mom on my podcast. You want to flex? I'm just saying.
I think he's very sincere.
But what about when Joe's guests disagree with each other? In episode 1267, two diet specialists with opposing views engaged in a heated debate about nutrition, creating a tense and captivating moment.
You talked for a long time, and I'm going to talk for as long as I want now.
The pair went on to exchange a series of underhanded jabs, creating a distinctly tense atmosphere that filled the room.
Data are very clear on that, Gary. So
no.
Yes, they are. Look, we have data.
We can't say things like that, Stefan, because we're going to disagree on what the data say.
Let's move on.
The tension between the two guests escalated, prompting Joe to intervene multiple times.
Gary, I really continue to get the feeling that you do not understand human energetics, because that's not how it works.
Well, no, I'm just saying 10 calories stored in the fat tissue. That's 10 just calories, mathematics.
10 calories.
I didn't say anything about how much you have to eat.
I'm not done.
Okay, no, but you're insulting me,
Gary,
Stefan. You got to stop doing that, dude.
Gary,
you keep acting like you think I'm an idiot.
All right, are you done now? Are you done?
Can we be clear that we're talking about...
Are you done now?
Can I just finish this?
No, you can't until I am done.
Me without, no,
Gary,
you
have time to respond.
You can respond, write down notes on what you want to respond to, and after he's done, you can talk about
but we're going to get into a long discourse on something that's not the point.
Well, let's find out if it is the point. We don't know what he's going to say.
Thank you. Okay.
The two diet experts found themselves at an ongoing stalemate, much like the heated exchange between Joe Rogan and Matt Walsh, which began when Walsh argued that gay marriage threatens the institution of traditional marriage.
But then why are you opposed to two gay people doing that?
Well, because again, it's not about choice. It's about what this institution, marriage is an institution, and what is it, and what purpose does it serve?
Joe passionately argued that the bond of a gay marriage poses no threat to the sanctity of a heterosexual marriage, with Matt quickly firing back.
If marriage is not what I'm saying it is, then why do we even need it? What's the point? I mean, you're saying it's a man-made institution. We are making the institution meaningless.
But it's not meaningless.
Well, but
it's very meaningful to the people that have it.
Subjective, symbolic, and it's about your own personal feelings.
Isn't it, though?
Well, no, I would say that it's not.
Well, if it's not subjective and it's not symbolic,
it codifies and protects and gives a name to a thing that actually exists, which are man, woman couples creating people, creating babies.
When Walsh boldly declared that the essence of marriage lies in a man and a woman creating offspring, Joe immediately pushed back.
If marriage is only for procreation and to bond a family together, what about people that are deeply in love that never want to have children?
I don't think it's not only procreation, but that is one of the fundamental definitional aspects of it.
Yet Rogan appeared significantly more fired up during a debate with political commentator Milo Yiannopoulos over Christianity's role in the modern world.
Everywhere that doesn't have a strong Christian heritage is a place with bad morals.
That's a ridiculous statement. Everywhere that doesn't have Judeo-Christian values is a up place.
I think that yes, I think it should be perfectly reasonable, respectable thing to say that our culture is better. I believe our culture is better than everywhere else in the world.
Culture of Christians.
I think
Christians are running around doing ketamine and each other.
European and American culture, which is based on Judeo-Christian values, is better than other cultures. I think it's uncontroversial to say so.
But what's based on Judeo-Christian values about being a good person?
Well, ultimately, our
it has
sense,
nothing to do
our
with
sense
the
of right and wrong
involved.
comes from the Bible.
What?
It does.
What comes from the Bible?
Ultimately, our sense of right and wrong comes from the Bible.
our sense of right and wrong.
I think your sense
of there's the only way that a person could have ethics and morals and treat each other well.
I didn't say the only way.
Don't you think that people understand what's good and what's bad? Listen, if we're going to have a conversation, we can't keep talking over each other like this. When someone is trying to make a point about something that's complex like this, if you think that the only way for a person to have ethics or an understanding of each other or compassion for each other is to rely on ancient myths that are easily scientifically disproven, well, that's what Christianity is.
No, I didn't say that. I said that the specific set of values that you have is influenced more than you would like to admit by your Judeo-Christian heritage.
It's influenced by
there are certain things that I think all of us.
The conversation then shifted to Milo's orientation, as the two debated whether it might be influencing the positions he was presenting.
Being a gay man,
who I am.
that's
how
promiscuous,
I behave. It's what I do.
But that is prohibited in the Bible.
Yes, but I agree that it would be better if I didn't behave like this, and if I could
choose
to be heterosexual, I would do so.
Self-loathing homosexual.
No, and I won't have this.
Because what you're saying is who you are is
it's not who you,
prohibited
it's not
in the
who
Bible.
You are, because I don't think my sexuality is an important component.
It's a huge part of you. You talk about it all the time. Well, it's a massive part of what we've talked about on the show.
I think
it comes up anytime you want to make a funny point. It comes up anytime you want to define your sexuality or your urges or your decadence.
I think people
jump to it because I think it's you.
However, Joe Rogan's debate with Adam Conover was notably more intense, sparked by Adam's views on transgender athletes and their participation in competitive sports.
Sports with trans athletes who are, competing with with their gender, right? That is a sporting world that I'm more interested in. That's my point of view.
My point of view is that, so if you're a woman and you're a natural woman and you don't take any extra hormones or male hormones, you're not taking steroids or any sort of performance-enhancing drugs, you're doing your very best to compete and you're at the top of the heap. But then someone comes along that was a man for 30 years and decides that they're going to be a woman, and this has happened, and literally transitioned a few months ago, and competes as a woman and destroys records and dominates you in that sport. That's bullshit. And that's not competing on a level playing field. Is as much cheating as taking steroids when the other person doesn't, or taking performance enhancing drugs when the other person doesn't.
Well, I disagree, and I've.
What do you disagree about?
I've already. Well, my main point being the one that I already made, right? That I don't think that there is such a thing as a perfectly level playing field. I think we decide what kind of playing field we want to have.
Sure, but we do make the distinction where we don't allow men to compete in women's divisions.
And I think that distinction may be breaking down a bit, right? And I think it may be time to break down that distinction a little bit.
So you think that males should be able to compete in the women's division of weightlifting?
No, I don't necessarily. But
they can if they transition.
Well, first of all, there's a lot of stuff to break down.
As the discussion intensified, emotions ran high when they delved into the particularly sensitive topic of transgender children.
If you're shooting hormones into a child and you're affecting the child's development, you're saying that's not a choice. That's nonsense. Of course it's a choice. You're choosing to chemically change this child's body.
Yet the conversation soon devolved into a bizarre debate over whether alpha males actually exist.
Right.
It's not scientific, but it is true that women are hardwired to be attracted to confident, athletic men.
I don't know if I agree with that. But
really?
Yeah.
But if you ask girls, what are you into? And you say, are you into tall, muscular, confident men who are also nice to you? Jesus Christ. It's going to be off the charts. It's going to be like most of them.
I'm really not sure that's the case.
But what happens when a guest addresses a serious issue and Joe responds with laughter? This exact scenario unfolded during the Joe Rogan Experience, episode 1532 with Mike Tyson, turning somewhat awkward after Joe mistakenly took one of Mike's sincere statements as a joke.
I did that video and I was in bed for a week. That was 30 seconds and I was in bed for a week. And it's not funny because it made me realize that this is big boy, okay?
Big boy.
This big boy without,
there it is right there.
Yeah, that wasn't really cool.
But just as Tyson finished calling Joe out for his reaction, another stretch of uncomfortable tension quickly settled over the conversation.
What does it mean when fighting gets you erect? What does that mean?
It's a good question.
It's orgasmic sometimes.
But saying that it gets you orgasmic, that's a strange thing to say.
Well, that's just what I want. I wanted to find out because you're really bright And I thought you would figure it. No, I'm being very serious.
No, I know. I know you're being serious, but I mean, no one will understand that other than you.
This ultimately led to further awkward silence.
Listen, Alexander the Great was 32 and he conquered the known world.
Yeah.
In 10 years.
And so thinking about that as a young man.
Absolutely.
And speaking of awkward silences, few moments can match the discomfort between Joe and Jordan Peterson, where the tension grew so intense that both completely lost track of their original topic.
You know, you can say, well, yeah, I've got all these flaws, but look at what I'm trying to do.
Right.
That's the real ground of self-respect. Well, I'm off the track with the question. The ground of self-respect. I can't remember what you asked me. So we'll have to go to a different topic.
What how did we get on this? We were
you asked about the evolutionary basis of
that was a long time ago.
I know, it's a rabbit hole that just doesn't disappear.
But where were we just now? Remember where we were just now?
No, sorry. I'm distracted by something else that's happening right now.
Oh, I know. We were talking about men.
Yes.
We were talking about men and what motivates them.
The atmosphere turned similarly uncomfortable during a discussion with fungus expert Paul Stamets when Joe inadvertently pushed his questions a little too far.
What are the negative benefit or the negative effects of this?
This is an explosive area of conversation. And that puts my life in danger. So I reserve the right not to answer your question.
Whoa. I didn't expect that. It puts your life in danger talking about portobello mushrooms? He's looking at me silently. I will respectfully move on.
Thank you.